And I think we're officially live. So there we go.
We go.
Welcome to another episode of the Uncensored Entrepreneurs. Today, we will be discussing the power of servant leadership, how it applies to your life, and additionally, how it applies to transforming your coaching business and helping you achieve exceptional results. So get ready for insights from the Uncensored Entrepreneurs. As always, we're keeping it real, raw, and unplugged. And oh my goodness, it is always real, raw, and unplugged behind the scenes. But we look forward to seeing you on the inside. Take care.
Woo-hoo, we're back.
You know, the beautiful thing I like about going live, and it's never edited, is the crazy things that we normally would cut out, right? Of our courses, our videos, our content. And I meant to say, so hang in there. And instead I said, take care, like as if I was saying goodbye to everyone.
I know.
So that was our quickest episode ever. Welcome to the Uncensored Entrepreneurs. Have a nice day. We'll see y'all.
That's all on servantship leadership. Peace out.
Oh man,
so amazing.
I feel like we haven't been together for a long time, but I'm so glad we are. And Robert, I was gonna tell y'all Tony and I celebrated our 1 year anniversary this weekend, and we were gonna stop by to see you, but we had some unexpected things going on, so we had to come back hurry. But
right. Make sure you do it next time, because I'm literally like 10 minutes off the highway, so you probably passed me.
We probably did. We probably did. We went to the beach for a couple of days, spent a couple of days in Myrtle, and enjoyed our time. We got a little sun.
See that. Wow, that's nice. Very nice.
It's good for the soul, man. It's good for the soul.
Well, I try to do it because salt water cures everything. Tears. See, everything. So I try to go.
I thought that was Windex.
That's true too.
So that's a Spanish thing, the Windex thing, right? And also it is vapor rub.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Vapor rub on everything, like the bottom of your feet. Like Tony, last year Tony was sick for something, and I was like, "Hold on, give me your feet." He's like, "What are you doing?"
I believe in that though. I believe
100%.
And you put socks on and you're good to go the next day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or potatoes. I've heard that too.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, it's nice to be back, right? There's always things that we're continuously tweaking and evolving, both in our lives and business. And that's why we want to talk about this and this subject specifically, because most of us, every entrepreneur I know, though, is really tied into servant leadership, right? In some fashion, if you're doing it the right way. I should rephrase that. If you're doing it the right way, serving others, not only are the results in that itself what you should be aiming for, but in most cases, when you're trying to discover who you are, what your passions and your purpose are, and you're trying to reach your own goals, by serving others, you can actually accomplish all those things so much quicker. So anyways, welcome to another episode. What's going on, ladies? What's new?
Well, Christina just got done breastfeeding, and we were gonna do a live demonstration on how to breastfeed.
No, we were not. We were actually just talking about what not to do when you're a leader, right? What not to do, and creating a thirst trap. Is that what they call it these days?
Oh, it is. So Robert. On his algorithm, not on ours, not on Starr's, not on
I have women on mine, but so
on Robert's algorithm, he's getting some nude.
Well, you know what?
Click baby thirst traps.
here's the thing, right? It just may be the people. It may be some of my circle that I just need to like cut out. I'm not really sure. There may be some of that, and I have been doing a ton of blocking lately. But what I'm seeing is a ton of guerrilla marketing where people have a product or a service they're trying to pitch or sell. And by the way, please weigh in the comments if anyone else can resonate with this. But they're trying to sell something. What they do, right, is in their stories, the very first one is always like some kind of a just half nude picture or something completely unrelated that doesn't even make sense, right? It's something that you would never click anyways. And so I'm not even sure how they're actually gaining traction online by doing this. But what I can tell you is it's annoying.
Yes.
And I don't want to see it because my life's already filled with enough distractions, and that just seems
already filled with enough girls.
When you said that, Robert, I thought it was women on your timeline, because I do have some women who are doing that. They're showing, cleavage or their butt. There's also a couple who has a business, and the girl is wearing she'll wear a blazer with a bra underneath. But anyways, yeah, they're putting this in stories showing almost nude photos. So when you said that, I thought it was ladies, but Robert is
and there is, right? You see that anyways as kind of the sex sells tactic, right, on TikTok especially and Instagram. Facebook has monitored or I filtered some of that in the past.
What is it?
It's a free for all, right? But here's the thing.
Facebook and stuff.
I got to get this point out because it's why I've been so frustrated. And that is the fact that I, along with myself, some of my clients, and I know many of you as well, we're constantly put in Facebook jail. We get locked out for things. We can't message people when we're actually trying to do it for servant leadership, actually really powerful things that we're trying to do to transform people's lives. So we get blocked. And then I get this crap on there.
Weeks ago, all of my stuff was getting censored, and I was talking to Starr. I'm like, "What is wrong?" Look, screenshot of what I'm doing. I'm like, "There's no nudity." Hello, me. Yeah. No nudity at all.
This is what it comes to, and quite honestly, I believe controversy, right, builds the algorithm, right. The more unnecessary things that are put out there, it allows people to have conversation, and it stirs up the algorithm. They like that. They like the drama. They like all of this stuff, kind of the chaos happening. I truly believe that. And I believe that when we are trying to do those things to serve others, then that's in their eyes, we're being flagged as promoting something, right? When really we're just trying to help. And that's, first and foremost, it's like making connections so that you can actually serve somebody in a bigger way to solve the problems that they may have. But yet we're flagged as we're selling something, and unfortunately.
Right, so let's talk about how important it is, because we can play that game, but we choose not to, right?
Yes, that's right.
We choose not to, because I think it's so important that over time, long term, what wins is value. When you increase people's odds of winning, when you help them get a result that they want to achieve, that really is what's going to help you long term. People might click and buy, right? But if it's crap, they're never going to buy from you again. That's really what happens, right? If you are out there and you're trying to get emails, right, and you're putting information out there for people, even if it's a freebie, if it's crap freebie, you're not going to attract people to your programs, right? You really do have to serve at a higher level and not be scared. You have to have this abundance mindset that you're not scared to put the good stuff out there that's actually going to give people results and help them get that to earn their trust, because there's so much BS that goes on out there. There's so much crap and controversy and people that are trying to create problems. I'm on a Everything Mexico, or expats in Mexico group, and somebody posted the other day, and it was so blatant that they were trying to get a rise out of people, that they posted the other day on this expats in Mexico, immigrants in Mexico page on Facebook. They said, can't these people learn English? And that blew up, that post blew up, and there was hundreds of people commenting, and then it's well, actually this person that posted it speaks Spanish. Some of their posts are in Spanish, right? So they're just trying to create controversy and trying to piss people off. That is not a great marketing tactic. The drama, the victim mentality, the look at me, look at me, look at me, this is happening to me. This is not a good tactic for marketing.
Yeah.
So true.
Sharing your story is a different thing. Sharing your story of being, from
Absolutely.
I think Starr's computer just went out.
Yeah, Starr is gone.
Computer issues. But sharing your story is a completely different thing. That victim mentality is another. So where is the middle? Where is the middle ground where you're sharing your story, you're showing how you came from, out of the ashes, as a phoenix rising, and this is where you came from, to
I can tell that immediately at you when you watch people share their story. I can tell it when they're operating in trauma and they're like, look at me, this is what happened to me, this, feel bad for me, and then trying to manipulate people versus this is what I went through, this is what I learned, this is how I'm going to help you.
Yeah,
absolutely. And the other thing is, when you serve in a big way, like, people see that, they notice that. And so then when you yourself maybe are going through some type of loss or trauma, and you actually ask people, hey, can you please pray for me and my family?
Yeah.
People see that as genuine, right? Because they understand, like, you're the one that's always there for everyone else. And now, you're asking for a little bit of, help and support as well. And that becomes really genuine. But like you said, Christina, there are people that play that victim game every single day, no matter what the circumstances. And I may even agree with some of their points, right? So whether we're talking about government, we're talking about social media just as a whole, how marketing tactics have changed, whatever that may be, I may agree with their point, but them coming on and blaming everyone does not
not taking responsibility
path towards success, right, in any way, or to change anything.
Yeah.
So I really like that. The one thing I just kind of draw it back, and then you guys can share some stories around this, is I always talk about, the personal branding. And when I say one element of personal branding, it's really letting people understand, because like we said before, I've never met you in person, right, Christina? But we've built this year-long relationship online, and we've already broken down these barriers of know, like, and trust, because of the fact that we're able to share things, we're authentic, and we're really genuine with one another. And we see that in our life. And so if you can share the things that matter to you most, the values in your life, to be able to share, like, your hobbies and the things that you're interested in, people will connect with you. And I think that is the best way to kind of tie it together. And I know that each one of you see this, because how many times have you put something like real great content, like value that is like, this will rock the world, and it says 0 views, right? Like, you're looking at it, the insights say 0 views.
Right.
You know darn well you have tens of thousands of people that look at your stuff, but it says 0 views.
Right.
The algorithm shuts it down. But I can put something, I can put a dad joke on there. I can do one of my little cooking demonstrations on there, and I'll see thousands of comments.
36 comments.
So you have to do that. I believe that you have to intertwine all those things, really show your audience a true piece of who you are. And then it helps actually build the algorithm and exposure to the other things that matter to you most.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's learning how to communicate, right? It's learning how to communicate correctly. Because have you ever had somebody get angry at you and say, oh, that was a passive aggressive post, right?
Yeah.
It might not have even been because of that other person. It might have been just a post that you've put up for years, and all of a sudden people are taking it personally.
If you think that is for you, it is for you.
Like that, there might be a teachable moment here, something that you can learn from it, right? I've even had people reach out and be like, people think this post is about me. And I'm like, if you think it's about you, or they think it's about them, there's some work for them to do on this, right? But however, that could also be your communication. There's something to learn here, right? And how we communicate. I'm a very red personality. I'm very direct with people, and this is how it is, right? But some people don't receive information well that way, and they think, oh, maybe she doesn't like me. Maybe, she is annoyed by me. Maybe I shouldn't be asking those questions. No, you absolutely should be asking those questions. Maybe I need to learn how to communicate correctly so that you don't feel that way when I'm actually just communicating something that'll help you.
That's a very good point. And I think sometimes we have to remember, when we're putting across, a powerful message, because of how, really aligns with ourselves and maybe our clients or experiences, it's always preferencing or ending it with, if you disagree with this, or if you have a different viewpoint, I would love to have this kind of open conversation. Maybe I'm not, like you just said, maybe I'm not seeing it through the same, set of eyes. I love those conversations. Sometimes you can build the the greatest relationships through those conversations.
You know, and it's funny when you put a post out there and then somebody disagrees or agrees with you and then somebody else disagrees with them and then they're going back and forth on
Then they fight and you're like, please don't fight. Why are we fighting? That wasn't my intent.
What is going on here?
Yeah.
But you know, like I think it's a good learning lesson for all of us. And I'll give you an example. I put a post out, you know, I want to attract driven entrepreneurs to what I'm doing. I want to help them scale 6 figures, multiple 6 figures in business. So not everyone is meant to see my post. Not everyone is meant to be attracted to those. It's going to actually discourage and push people away that don't have that crazy ambition, right? There's my baby. So, you know, it's one of those things that, you know, in the communication, I don't want to offend people by it, but I had a girl who I know, who I really love and who I love communicating with. She's like, yeah, but like, what if people are in trauma? What if they are working through their stuff? I said, well, then that post isn't for them. But on the other side of it, she really made me think, because she said, what if you work 3 days a week, you have no debt, you live exactly where you want to live, and you make less than $100,000 a year? What's wrong with that? And I said, absolutely nothing. If that is your dream, if that is the life that you want, that's actually a beautiful thing. And the fact that, by the way, the fact that she said that to me changed how I wrote a chapter of a book, because I wanted to give that other perspective. Is if this is the life that you're living and it's your dream life, then all the power to you. That's amazing. I'm so happy for you that you're living in alignment.
Yeah, everyone defines success differently, right?
Yeah.
I think more than anything, success, where it does apply to all of us, is it creates freedom, you know, in some aspect of your life. And to me, that's important. Like you said, there's people that are very happy making $40,000 a year, you know, while they sleep, meaning that they don't even have to get up. You know, that's an amazing thing, right?
Goal, you know, if they're not, their goal is just to make $500 a month to put their kids in soccer camp, you know, then you got to agree with it and just let them and go with them as that. But if their goal is to retire their husband and, you know, make 6 figures a month, then you got to work with them with that. So it's a catch-22. You got to.
It's meeting people where they're at, right? I think that is part of servant leadership, is meeting people where they're at and not having any expectations, right? Like when I have a conversation with somebody, I just had somebody wanting to do a consult. They wanted to move from Canada to Cabo, and they're like, I want to pay you for that. And I was like, no, let's have a conversation. Like, you have to be willing to do more than most people and not get paid for it to build relationships with people, right?
Yeah, I'm laughing because I'm starting to do some branding work with realtors in the area, right? Just one more segment. And a couple of them had reached out and specifically said, just this last week, I'm looking to do this. However, I probably cannot even afford your services. Like, that's how they opened the conversation, right? And so I love being able to kind of step that back and say, you know what? You know, what's your schedule next week? Let's sit down and have a cup of coffee. Let's have lunch, and let's take the conversation from there. Like, you know, and most of the time, if you just kind of understand where people are at, like you stated, then pricing just kind of, it evolves, right, in that conversation. And it's different for everyone. But I'm glad that we're having this conversation, because in the end, if there's this servant leadership, not only is it transforming your life, but the other thing that we can teach each other how to do once we've done this for ourselves is how to pay that forward, right? And so the ability to teach others how to do the same exact thing. So there are people, like you said, that are perfectly happy with making $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 a year sitting at home, taking care of children, doing whatever. So my thought is, if you're able to do that and you've found like your peace in that, then your tribe, the people that you're connecting with, should be people that are seeking that same thing, so that you have the ability to pay that forward and teach them how to do that.
Well, Starr, you're doing some servant work here.
Yes, I am working with Precious. She's been on our show before, so she has a foundation, Precious Kids Foundation. And we have an event coming up, by the way, on April 30th in San Diego. So if you're in the area or you're interested in attending, let us know so that we can get you tickets to that. And she's doing some incredible work, as she's been on here to discuss. She's actually serving children in Uganda who cannot afford any type of healthcare whatsoever. Some of them have been living for months, even years, with certain conditions, some very extreme conditions, in fact. And so what she does is she raises funds, she takes doctors and, you know, anyone who's willing to participate to Uganda, and they go and they just have like days of just, you know, taking care of those children, giving them medical care and treatment that they need. So super excited about that as well. And so that just goes back to that, you know, active service. Yes, we need to be doing it inside of our organizations, but also outside of that is very, very important. It's like, how can we give back to society, your community, and others in need? Even within our programs, maybe you will take on a client or a student who cannot afford your mentorship.
I love that. I love that. And I love that you already know, like Precious is just like my sister from another mister. I fell in love with her when I met her 6-7 years ago at a live event that I spoke at. And she's just doing amazing work. And again, that is a perfect example of somebody that had, you know, a very high 6-figure salary position based on her career that she worked really, really hard to obtain, you know, licensing and schooling for. And she was able to take that skill set and walk into the unknown, making a lot less at times, right? So that she could actually serve others in a bigger way. And I truly believe that has come back to her tenfold. So.
Yeah, that's a really great example of servant leadership, you know, that, and a lot of us too, you know, people start a business, and I'm going through this right now with people that are newly working online, you know, teaching them that their posting is not to sell. It's to connect. It's to start conversation. It's to serve. It's not to sell. Anything that you post is not necessarily to sell. Not to say that there's not a time and a place for that, but you have to earn people's trust. And, you know, people see our businesses take off if we start something new, because we've been in it for years. We've been building that community for years. We've been showing up and adding value for years. And most people in this instant gratification world want the sale right now, want to make money right now. And you've really got to have a bigger vision for who you are and what you want to do long term. And are you willing to show up every day for years to serve and to do what's right for other people, as opposed to trying to make the sale? Are you constantly putting their needs before your own? And if you do that, you earn trust long term, where people will not just purchase from you eventually, but they, you know, if they don't purchase from you, they're going to refer you. And I have some really incredible humans in my life that refer me all the time, because I refer them business too. I'm like, you are the best at what you do. I'm going to put you in front of my mastermind. I'm going to put you in front of my community. I'm going to say, hey, I vouch for this person. And now they do the same for me. So what are you willing to do? What are you willing to give? And understanding that the more you give, the more you get, right? It's not take. It's as if you give the most, you win the most.
Yeah. So true. In traditional leadership, what you see is like, we're trying to earn money for the organization, for the company. There's this hierarchy of leadership where I'm on top, you're below me. But when you come from a place of servant leadership, you're trying to get your entire team to rise. And so the same thing should apply in your coaching business. It's not about, okay, obviously, you know, we do want to make money in business, but it's not just about, okay, how can I get my next, you know, $1,000 or $10,000 in the business? It's how can I serve my clients to ensure that they're actually having the success and the results that they need to have.
Oh, absolutely. Right. And that's why one of the biggest things, you know, in at least our circle of coaching is that it, like you said, it's not just transforming their business. We understand that in order to truly transform their business, they need to transform themselves. And so if we've created an impact in their personal life, then man, does business just flow so much easier? I mean, I'm saying this to each one of us right now. Like, how many times is your personal life just kind of in disarray, and it reflects into your business and vice versa?
I just talked to a client yesterday, and he was doing the same thing. He's like, I don't know what's going on with my business because this and this and that. He goes, I do know that I really, really, really enjoy beer, and that is probably a hindrance.
Well, he should open a brewery. No,
and I was like, well, he goes, I can get all, you know, hot and heavy with my business, and then all of a sudden I want to binge drink for 4 days, and then my business goes down. And it does. You know, when your personal life is in disarray, then your business kind of gets affected by it.
There's definitely a reflection of that. There's a gentleman that's local here. You probably he's also an influencer, so he's all over social media. But he's a personal trainer, What the heck? I'll give him a little plug. So Tony Gonzalez, I really love this guy. Him and his wife do a lot of different podcast events and stuff. And they talk a lot about marriage and life. But one of the things he just posted yesterday that made me think about that, Tina, was he says, does everyone want to know why I'm constantly working on like my personal self, my gains, my weight training and all these things? And the response that immediately came to me that I put out there, and then him and I had
thirst trap
conversation. Well, no, the expanded conversation was that if you typically do one thing, like with a lot of governed value and goal setting and conditions, then it really kind of applies, it multiplies into the rest of the aspects of your life, right? So if you've got that focus to do one thing with discipline, it typically will be this kind of domino effect. And likewise, it's the other way too, right? If you sit at home and all you do is turn Netflix on,
right?
Then,
I was just gonna say that, Christina, when he got done, I was gonna be like, well, how you do one thing is how you do everything.
And that's how you do everything. Yes.
I
Exactly.
mean, and it's so true. Like if, in my dating life, which thank God I do not have to do that again. If they are very, rude to the customer or rude to me or rude to the waitress, they're going to be they're a rude person. If they're doing this on the first date, they're going to be rude like that. So I'm like, out. My friends would be like, Tina, what? I'm like,
no, axe them. 100%.
You're rude. Get out. And so I tell Tony that, like when we're together now, he's like, thank God, because I'm in here now. But do one thing is how they do everything. So if they're going to be, a jackass or a rude person or whatever, that's how they're going to be in real life. That's how they're going to be to you, and that's how they're going to be to everyone.
Also, a good lesson for clients and customers. Right? Like if they are a pain in the butt or they are rude when they are inquiring.
Yes,
we had to learn that.
You're going to get 10 times that when they hire you.
100%. And the other thing is, and I was just talking to a client about this morning, is that those people that need special treatment for payments that are like, I just need this, or can you break down this payment? Can you this? Honestly, I would say 9 times out of 10, those are the people that don't pay you and they don't continue paying you and they don't uphold their end of the deal. And then who ends up feeling bad? You do, because you got to kick them out of your program. You do because they're not upholding that end of the deal, or you've got to chase them and you're just like, this is not how I want to spend my time, right? So when you have somebody that comes in, as much as we give and we give and we give, that's sometimes our default. And it's the thing that actually works against us because we're so kind and accommodating a lot of the time, is that when you have people that come in that take advantage of you, or if they are rude in a consultation or the way they communicate, or you go to their social media to check them out and you're like, oh, these people are ranting and raving about their relationship. Probably not the people you want to continue doing business with, because you get what you tolerate. And that, a lot of the time, I think this is something that we don't talk about in servant leadership. When we give and we give and we give, people will take advantage of that. And often you have to be the one that says, no, I expect higher standards. Like I need you to commit to this, or maybe they're not the right client for you because they're going to be a massive headache in the end.
And that's why it's important to have those boundaries in your business as well, because you are flexible with them and they may start to abuse, their ability to communicate with us and the methods that they're trying to reach out to us, or any type of thing that they want to gain from us outside of the scope of the work that we do. But we do want to make sure that we are empathetic with our clients and that we're actually listening to them. And that's really key for success in business, because oftentimes we know what we know and we know what's going to help them. So we're like, oh, just go do this. Then why didn't you do that? But if you just take a step back, pause and listen, you can get to the bottom of what the issue is that they're facing, and, maybe have them do some different activities in the business, or, you might be a life coach or whatever it is that you have your client doing.
Yeah. I like that feedback. That's great. Yeah, I'm glad you said that. I'm not a total
absolutely. When you were talking about all that earlier, I'm really glad. And right, like your personal values that are in your life, it should apply to your business as well, right? That should transfer over.
When it should show in your social media, in your email,
and everything that you do. Quite frankly,
they should be able to be like, you know what, this is the kind of person she is, without even meeting her.
Yeah. That's right. And when they meet you, you want them to say, oh my God, you're exactly like you are on social media.
Exactly.
I find that a lot in faith over fear. Like they're like, oh my God. Like, and then they were surprised. Like, oh my God, you're like the same person you are in person than you are online. I'm like,
and you're still wearing
point.
pink. I can't believe
My girl.
I love that though. You know, all this whole conversation makes me think of that quote, and I'll probably take it a little out of context. But Jeff Bezos said one of my favorite things about like your brand, your personal brand, is it's what people say about you when you leave the room.
when you leave,
right?
not when you're in the room. Yes.
Yeah, not when you're in the room. It's when you leave the room, and that is so true. I mean, it's absolutely true with everything I see in business, and I've even seen that, right? Like I've been that third party where people are talking, and then that person walks away, and they're like, "Yeah, that person's such an asshole," you know. But you're like, "Oh my gosh, that's horrible. That's horrible." But then you know,
in front of them.
But they are.
But the problem is, like you said, however you show up, you want people to know that that's exactly who you are, right? And by the way, there are successful people that are very abrupt and very stern and not necessarily my style online. And when you meet them, they're the same exact person, right? But at least they're being true to their brand. You know what you're getting.
Exactly. And what better way to grow your business is through serving. When you serve your clients and it's not just about the money, you're going to see that they're going to sign up for your, oh, hi, Mom. Like,
that's
you're going to see that.
for Mom, because you know we all need her.
Sorry, Starr, that was bad timing. Go ahead.
You're going to see that they are going to want to re-enroll with you again the following year, and also you're going to get a lot of referrals. I know Robert is big on building a referral base for his business too.
Exactly. Yeah. Actually, referrals, quite frankly, are everything. Now I'm starting to have to get a little creative, right? A little mix of some paid advertising and some other things as well.
I have about a 90% referral rate with my business, and I'm like, ooh, I need to.
Right.
I mean, referrals are great. I love referrals. I give great referral bonuses and commissions, but when those referrals don't come in, you're like, ooh.
Yes, exactly. And and that's another thing too, by the way, when we talk about servant leadership, here's the other thing. There is kind of there is a catch-22 there, right? It's a topic that we probably weren't going to talk about today, but I might as well bring it up that, when people see that you're constantly like out there and willing to help others, there are people that can abuse that time as well. So you do have to set, like you said earlier, those kind of boundaries, kind of set the expectations of, my time is really valuable, but when I have the capacity, I'm always using it to help others, right? It's not just always about money. It isn't always about like a dollar figure to every hour that I'm equating to help someone, but you do need to kind of find that happy balance, because I've fallen into that situation too, where unfortunately, your skill set as a coach becomes kind of a charity, and you don't want to fall into
Let's talk about, I would love to hear from each of you guys what your favorite way to serve is. What is your favorite way? How do you like to show up and serve?
My OnlyFans page is usually the
Oh, you went there, Tina. I'm going to have to block you now.
Oh my God, Tina. Somebody had to say it.
You just lost me, but you gained another 100 people just in that.
That's right. You just got us a whole bunch of followers. The reason I ask you is because as silly as this is, I love doing team trainings. I love coming in and being an insight for people that are brand new in business. When I've had all of this experience because I did it wrong for so long, I love coming in and answering questions and helping them like fast forward their success in the very beginning, because we've been through that so many times before, and like how to adapt to the marketplace and give them all the cheat sheets, because I went through it myself and had to fail forward and it was so ugly, so that's one of like my biggest joys. But I want to hear like what other ways that you can do that. I know speaking on stage is a really great way to impact the masses. I know you do that quite a bit, Robert.
Yes. Yeah, I've got one actually right after we're done here. I'm packing up and heading down into downtown Greenville for an amazing event. But
podcast too.
I'm sorry, what was that, Starr?
We're serving by doing this podcast too.
Absolutely.
I love podcasting.
Absolutely. Wait a minute. You guys don't get a check every week when we go live?
What? Robert, you're holding out on
I'm not supposed to tell them. It's supposed to be just for you and me.
Anyways, oh my goodness. Well, you know what? I
Even
think
your
one thing,
posts out there are servant leadership. Your
That's
post
right.
of giving
everything,
tips
just
and
content, giving
it
value,
is
giving
content,
value
freebies.
without any type of exchange
Exactly.
is giving and serving others. And I think that, I mean, it makes sense to me. Years ago, I did always think I had this mentality, kind of it was scarcity mentality, quite honestly, to where I felt it was my idea, it was my business. I had way too many competitors, and that's a very tough way to run your business when you actually realize that you are like your best brand, you're one of a kind. No one else can do exactly what you do in the way that you do it. If you're true to your brand. And so in doing that, there is no competition, right? And so once you've actually adopted that mindset, your business starts to really flourish because it's not about holding and coveting information or value. Quite honestly, if I had enough time, I would probably share 95% of everything that I know. And then that little 5% can be saved for those people that want to write $100,000 check to work with me. Right.
I
So,
like
anyways,
it. I like
anyway,
it.
10
right. And the people that do that,
$1,000 pop. It's okay.
hey, let's think of a few people that do that. Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
That guy is on stage. Now, granted, he gets paid, but how many people gather his information, YouTube videos, other courses, books?
Yeah.
It's all at your fingertips.
Yeah.
And yet he has a very high price tag. Just his lower entry stuff is typically about $110,000 a year.
And
So,
To work with them like one-on-one, right?
well, and even that's a group setting. That's the crazy thing, right? So for $100,000, he's still pulling, 10, 15 people in this little group at a time. And he usually has about 15 or 20 of those little, masterminds going at once. So anyways, one thing I'll just throw out there, as I was going to say, collaboration. So when you were asking, Christina, I love to collaborate. I think there's so much value there because not only are you serving and giving of yourself in the value that you've accumulated over a lifetime, but there's an exchange as well, which means then you are learning and it allows you to get to where you want to go quicker in business as well. So when you collaborate, just like with each of us, we're typically exchanging some value of time, right? Tina can teach me a lot more about launching my book than I want to even dive into. And at the same time, I can spend a ton of time with her about how to truly become like this personal branding magnet. And that's how we exchange that value with one another.
And we
I
do.
love that.
We do. Him and I collaborate a lot together.
Yep, absolutely. So what are any other ways that you could think of?
So just content creation, I think in general is a big one, whether that be YouTube videos, going live in your communities, doing podcasts like these. In fact, there are some very high ticket coaches that I hired, and now going back, listening to their podcasts, I'm like, oh, honestly, they literally gave away everything for free when you listen to these podcast episodes. So we're here to provide that value. Oftentimes you'll hire a coach to, get a little bit more specific with it or fast, track yourself with them. But these are definitely amazing ways for you to put yourself out there so that people can kind of know you as that authority when they start listening to you. And obviously, like if somebody listens to you 10, 20 times are ready to hire you, there's no question mark on that sales call as to, do I want to hire Starr to be my coach? I have absorbed so much information from her. I already know that I want her to be my coach.
Yeah. And the other thing.
It builds that trust factor, right? No, that's what I was going to say. It emphasizes the know, like, trust. They already know, and they feel like they already have worked with you before they've ever actually taken, that step.
And it's that 80-20 rule, right? Like you put 80% value and personal stuff on how you are, who you are to build that KLT factor. And then the other 20% is webinar, is, join this group or, grab my freebie or buy my book or whatever. But you guys are all right. When you said that, Starr, it reminds me that every coach, if you go in there and listen and read every one of their emails, watch every one of their contents, and watch every one of their videos on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook Reels, everything, and you're just getting all of their information, by the end of the year, you're going to learn everything that there is to know, what they teach their one-on-one clients. Mm-hmm. But their one-on-one client gets that personal touch. They get that
tailored education for their, exactly. And the other thing I think that we need to,
real coaches do is give out probably 95% of their content away for free.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I think that we also have to realize that influence is something that is not given because you have a whole bunch of followers. It's something that you build with people, right? Like when you lead, when you truly lead and you're a servant leader, you gain influence. And a lot of us know that from network marketing, right? You're nobody's boss. You're nobody, you're not a CEO or a general manager. They can't just listen to you. You have to earn earn the right to influence them, to help them, right? You have to build that trust. And the other thing that I also want to mention is in servant leadership, it's not just giving everything away for free. You can also, like in servant leadership, you can make money. I see there's a new button. I feel like Facebook is wising up. There's a new button for subscriptions, right? Like, so now you can subscribe to people's groups because they know that you're building community and group anyways, and people are paying for that. So now you can subscribe, and maybe it's a lower ticket item that if you have a high-end coaching program that's $5, $10, $15, $20,000 above, right? That maybe you have a lower end that is servant leadership that you're giving and giving and giving every single week, maybe every day, and people pay $20 a month. They pay $97 a month. They pay $200 a month, where they get access to you of you giving and giving and giving, but they don't get that higher level leadership. And if they plugged into that, then at least they would get the value that they need to increase their sales, so that if they do want tailored information, if they want one-on-one coaching from you, then they can afford to do so. And there's increments that they are able to take advantage of, so that they aren't out at a loss.
Right. It's the ability for you to scale and the ability for them to scale as they feel comfortable. So yeah, I like that.
I love that you shared the strategy piece about that, Christina. I used to struggle with that a lot. Like, I have to come out with this new program or teach this new strategy, or how am I going to differentiate my lower level program from my higher level program? And I always felt like, oh, I'm teaching the same things. But in actuality, you could do that, right? But you could also raise your prices based on the level of access that they're having to with you. So they could be 3 levels. One is like, I'm going through a course, I have no access to Starr. Number 2, maybe I only have, I can listen to her.
One good coaching call or something. Yeah.
And the third level is like, done with you. I'm going to go in the trenches with you, or even done for you, and either do this for you or do this with you. And so obviously there's going to be a higher investment there.
Yeah,
I struggled with that a lot when I did my 3 packages, because I only had a done for you package. And in fact, Christina helped me create a done with you package and a DIY package. So, my course is all DIY.
That's
you don't
beautiful.
get any access to me at all. I just did my pre-recorded videos. It's all templated. You get templates. You can write your own book, 16 weeks, everything's templated, and there you go. Or you have my group coaching program where I walk you through it, but I walk everyone through it. And you still get templates and templates and templates. Or you can do my done for you package where I do everything for you.
But brilliant. I learned that from Gary Vee, actually. I totally listen to Gary Vee, and he's just like, I give everything away for free, and then I charge dearly for my personal time.
Well, let's face it, right? And I'm speaking to mostly the digital marketers and the coaching community, because they're predominantly they're our clients, right? And I can tell you that probably 80% can relate to this. They have programs and courses that they have yet to log into, or they have yet to complete, and they have books collecting dust on their shelf that they've never read from first page to last. And so we've all been there in some fashion, right? Because we get caught up in this, like, I need this. It's going to change my life. It fills a gap and a need in my personal life or my business. However, the reason that most of us hire coaches, and I know that I've spent more than a master's degree, right, in hiring coaches over my lifetime. And the thing is that it's accountability. Yeah. It's walking through things. And here's the beautiful thing. Kind of comes back to this collaboration again. I learn as a coach from my clients probably as much as they're learning from me, and they don't realize it, right? Because we all come from different walks of life. And so every time I'm teaching someone, I'm learning from them as well. And I'm able to take that skill set and apply it to other people that kind of fit that same exact brand or bucket. So anyways, I believe there's some beautiful things that can come from that. The one other thing I wanted to throw in there was, again, kind of coming back to different ways of serving, but tying it into a way to kind of advance your business and to monetize it. I love doing this. I love involving a group of people into like a course. As you're creating this course, this piece of content, when you know that you're going to sell this thing later on for whatever it may be, right? Could be $100, could be $500, could be, thousands of dollars. But to say to individuals, I would like you to be part of this experience, and I'm not going to charge you at all. I'd like you to be part of it because you're going to help me build this content, right? And really throw some value in there, these Q&As and different ways of looking at things. And I love that exchange, by the way.
Your feedback on it and everything. Yeah. So that was one of my first done for you packages. Is I had a small done for you package. I helped them write their book, but several people of my high end 6, 7, 8 figure clients were like, Tina, we need accountability. And I'm like, what? You need accountability? And they're like, yes. So afterwards, because I mean, how many of you guys have said, oh, I want to write a book, and say, oh, I've been wanting to write a book for 5 years. I'm like, well, how come you haven't done it?
Unless you have nothing going on in your life, it's a harder task than you think, right?
So, hiring a coach gives you that accountability.
Exactly.
And so, with my Done For You program, now it has that accountability in it. And so many are like, oh my God, we needed that. And I'm like, oh, I just thought, it was the lower end people that needed the accountability, but no, 6, 7, 8 figures still need that accountability as well. And
100%.
Yeah, even more so because their schedule is already filled. Right?
I pay people a lot of money to hold me accountable to do the things I don't necessarily want to do. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I laugh about that, but we talked about that in regards to personal training as well when I had some exchanges locally here. And that is, maybe you would make more money as a personal trainer if people paid you, gave you a copy of the key to their home. Yeah.
Snack the food out of their hand.
Yeah. Well, gave you a copy of the key to their home. You show up every morning at 5 or 6 a.m. and you drag them out of bed, right?
And make the food. Like drag them out of bed, get them to the gym, make them work out, go home and make their breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and smack the food out of their hand.
Right. Because it's not when I'm in the gym. Right. My point is, and this applies to business. This is a great analogy, right? It's not when I'm in the gym that I have a problem doing the work, right? It's getting to the gym. Stopping everything I'm doing.
Are you calling me out right now, Robert? Because I've been trying to do my wall Pilates for the last week.
I'm looking at all of you.
What you do after you get back from the gym, you're like, oh, I just went to the gym. I can have this slice of pizza.
By the way, we just had about 50 people flip off their computer screen when I was going through that little topic.
I do not want to do that.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
Why are you talking to me? Why are you calling me out?
I feel guilty.
Yeah. But it's true, right? And it's like that. But it's like that in all the things that we do, even servant leadership. I mean, let's face it, even doing the things that are just good for others, right? Even charity work. How many times have you signed up for something where you're like, yeah, I'll show up to this community event, I'll pass out flyers, I'll paint someone's, fence that needs to be painted, whatever it may be. And that morning you're like, oh my God.
I do this.
Like, how did I do this? This is my one day to sleep in. My one day for the month to sleep in. And I signed up to paint somebody's fence, right?
And you signed up, right? And you're like, damn. Okay, so Mama Cheryl, we love you. She says, I'm retired and I don't have time to do my chair yoga.
Thanks, Mom.
Right?
Thanks, Mom.
Hey, by the way, can I just throw that out there for a moment? How many of you, right? Because I have retired parents as well. How many of you, when you know someone that's retired, and they, make a statement like, "Oh, I'm just too busy," right?
You're like, busy doing what?
Does that trigger anyone else? I'm sorry.
You know what is funny is
no, she didn't say she was too busy. She just said she doesn't make time. That's right.
Okay,
right? She's not too busy.
That's
she just don't make
so
time for that.
Traveling to Mexico to take care of her babies.
Yeah.
My mom has a very busy social schedule. She's having a barbecue this weekend. Don't you know? She's getting her yard
I'm
ready.
not too busy.
She called it like it was. She called it exactly like it was.
That is the truth, because you have time for what you want to have time for. If your husband or wife came home and said, listen, I want to go on a date on Friday night, and you don't have time, you're going to make time.
Yeah.
And exactly with the same thing with money. People have money for what they want to have money for. They go to Starbucks every day.
That's
They
so
have
true.
$7 or $8 to go to Starbucks every day, but they don't have $400 to invest in coaching. But they have money and time for what they
I
want to
just
have.
saw somebody go to Mexico, like somebody go to Mexico and they're like, I don't have money to start a business. I don't have money to do coaching. I don't have money to buy products. I'm like, you just went to Mexico at an all-inclusive.
know.
You have the money. You're choosing not to put it there.
I don't know if we're getting off topic, but yeah, I think we can all relate. We can all relate with that a little bit, right?
Well, it's
We can
because
all relate
there's
with that.
so much for free that we're not making money doing. And so when we see people not allocate their funds correctly, it's frustrating because they're
It
also
is.
the people that want help. They're the people that we pour
Mm.
into. They're the people that we give all of our time to. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, wait a second. There's also another side to this, that there's discipline behind that. There's discipline behind the leadership that we do. There's discipline behind how we spend our money and spend our time, right?
So maybe
So
that
true.
needs to be next week's topic, because we have to. It is 1:55. We have a hard stop at 1:55.
We do. I
So
got to
maybe
get
that could
rolling.
be next week's
But
topic is, staying consistent and determined in business.
and so yeah, to kind of just roll out. I will say that the best way to find any type of success in your life, whether that means your own sanity, mindset, heart set, your true calling, your true north, whatever it may be, actually seeing your business increase, right? Increase in sales and revenue. It's serving others. I've just found that is the absolute best way to figure things out. It typically kind of realigns just the craziness that's going on in our own personal life. So that's the advice I would leave everyone with. Any other final words? We're
Speak
good.
now or forever hold your peace.
We're good. Yeah. Mama Cheryl, you got to get back to that yoga. I'm sorry. We're gonna have to build an accountability piece around that. So.
Or else we're all coming up to Canada and doing the show from your house.
You know what? I'll get her because I need to be accountable to start doing my wall Pilates post birth, and I'm like,
Okay,
oh,
so
I can
I
do that
just-
tomorrow.
I just got a little 3-day thing for the wall Pilates. I was like, ooh, I can do that. So I snapshotted 50 of them. I'll just do it myself, right?
Can I tell you a secret? I'm going to tell you a secret. If you,
We're gonna end with your secret. Go for it.
With the wall Pilates and a lot of these apps, right? You can get a free 3-day trial, and if you say no, they'll keep sending you other. If it's Better Me, if that's the one that you're looking at, they'll give you instead of $19 a month. If you hold out, they'll give you $19 a year.
You know what?
Sorry, I just screwed them on their sales.
Christina, everyone coming to you for coaching now is going to hold out.
I don't do that, right? I don't devalue. I don't give stuff away for free, except for
if
my
you just
social
keep
media
on
pages.
following her, she'll break
That's
it down her $20,000 program to only $997 for the whole year.
For the
That's
whole
right.
year.
I appreciate you all. Thank you for tuning in. Hopefully there's some value here. We're going to continue to give more and more value, and it's people like you, right? It's our exchange with people like you that allows us to even be better and to create more value. So we appreciate you. We'll see you next week.
Share, follow.